Welcome to this quick tutorial on how to configure your custom colors in a Rigify rig. We have a meta rig consisting of bone chains based on Rigify samples. It's not a very good example of a rig, but it serves to show how we can configure custom colors. A link to a channel with a good Rigify tutorial is in the description, and if you rather read than watch a tutorial, there is a link to a written version of this all as well. Let's get started. As you can see, we have 4 chains. We will put the bones at the top of the chain, each in their own bone layer. We will keep 2 empty layers in between them for reasons that will become clear in a minute. Make sure your armature is in edit mode, and then we put the start of the head chain in layer 0. We make sure all layers are visible so that we don't lose track. We then put the start of the spine chain in layer 3, and then we put the start of the left arm chain in layer 6, and the start of the right arm chain in layer 9. Now we switch to pose mode to start preparing the Rigify options. In the Rigify type panel, we make sure each chain we also have FK controls and tweak bones. And we make sure that any FK bones that will be generated will be on the second layer after the EK controls. And the tweak bones will be on the first layer after the IK control for this chain. We don't have to enable these controls, but if you do, make sure you explicitly set the layers here, because otherwise it will be very difficult to find them. And this was also the reason we put the start of each chain on separate layers with 2 layers in between, because these additional tweak and forward key layers will be generated in between them. We then do this for the right arm as well, and the spine, and the head. Now that we have all the relevant bone layer assignments, we can start customizing the colors the generated bones will get in the Rigify rig that will be generated. Still in pose mode, in the armature properties, we go to the Rigify bone groups panel. Here we can add colors one by one and configure them exactly to our liking, or we can add a set of standard colors. Those are the same colors used in, for example, the human basic rig. They were easy to recognize, so that's what we will use here. The thing is to create all the Rigify layers and tie everything together now. So we have a number of rows here that correspond to the bone layers. The numbering is off by 1, by the way, so row 1 corresponds to bone layer 0. Any bone layers with bones are highlighted in the first column. In the second column, we can define the labels that will appear on the buttons after we generate the Rigify rig. We put in the names not only for the IK controls, but also for those layers where the Rigify rig will have FK controls and tweak bones. We put in the names not only for the IK controls, but also for those layers where the Rigify rig will have forward controls and tweak bones. That's why it was so important to explicitly choose the layers where we would put them in. The head chain in our example will not have FK bones, but all the others will, so we get the following. Rigify will generate a little panel with buttons, and we can also control in which row the buttons will appear. Here we put them in the order that resemble the anatomy. So the head in UI row 1 and 2, the arms in rows 3, 4, and 5, and the spine-related controls in rows 6, 7, 8. So top down the head all the way down to the spine. The last thing we have to do is assign bone groups, and those will determine the actual colors. If we expand the Rigify bone groups panel, we can see the labels and index numbers that correspond to the group colors. We set the arms to 2 for IK, 4 for tweak, and 5 for FK. You can actually see the label change when you click, so you don't have to remember it. We set the head to 2 and 4 as well. The head chain will not have FK bones. And the spine we set to 3, 4, and 5. The 3 is for special, and that will make the IK bones for the spine yellow, and that will follow the example in Human Basic Rig. So this is all quite a bit of work, but now we can click the Generate Rig button in the Rigify buttons panel. Et voila, a Rigify rig. We now hide our original armature and put the Rigify armature in front. If we switch to pose mode, you can see that the control bones have the colors we configured, and the rig layer panel has the layout and labels we set earlier. And that's all. You could now go on and parent the mesh to the rig, etc. But in principle, you are good to go. I hope this was useful, and thanks for watching.